See, it's a beautiful day, the beaches are open, and the people are having a wonderful time.
Ever since Jaws first popped out of the ocean to terrify some unlucky beachgoers, the summer movie has been pop culture's dominant beast.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
The summer movie is the occasion when we know Hollywood will bring out the big guns, the biggest stars, the most anticipated sequels, its most over-the-top effects, and yes, the biggest actual guns. For a lot of us, past summer movies like The Avengers, Independence Day, The Lion King, or Star Wars are exactly what we think of when we picture going to the movies.
Today, we celebrate our Independence Day.
But the summer movie season also seems to start earlier every year, lately inching up even to the last weekend in April.
On April 26th, summer begins.
Meanwhile, studios now fill the calendar all year long with summer movie-esque huge franchises and outsized spectacles.
We need a pilot!
We've got one!
And after the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic forced movie theaters to close and pushed most of the biggest summer movies into the fall, winter, or even 2021, the dominance of the summer movie season now faces its greatest test ever. So after close to 50 years, are we witnessing the end of the summer movie's long day in the sun? Or does the idea of a summer movie still mean something special? Here's our take on how we came to love this unique cultural phenomenon.
I feel the need for speed.
You're watching The Take. Let us know your take.
This video is brought to you by Mubi, a curated streaming service showing exceptional films from around the globe. It's like your own personal film festival streaming anytime, anywhere. A summer movie can be almost any genre. Sci-fi, fantasy, action, horror, comedy, even a war movie, legal thriller, or Best Picture-winning elegiac western.
Deserves got nothing to do with it.
But broadly speaking, summer movies are the cinematic versions of beach reads. Books that are meant to be easy to follow, entertaining, and sometimes disposable.
I can go slow ahead. Come on down and chump some of this.
Jaws was based on a literal beach read from author Peter Benchley, and turned into a literal beach movie. And even when it lacks the swimsuits or the sand, the prevailing purpose of a summer movie is fun.
It doesn't even have a first name, it just says McLovin!
Much of the summer movie's dazzle comes in the form of special effects. For decades, summer has been a showcase season for new technological breakthroughs. This wow factor and spectacle bring in a broad audience that might not normally turn up to see a movie on the big screen.
Are you not entertained?
Summer movies are also defined by the casual deployment of megawatt star power.
His smile was one of those rare smiles that you may come across 4 or 5 times in life.
It's where audiences can expect to see our biggest stars doing what they do best, whether that's fighting, laughing, or running.
Everybody runs, Fletch.
Certain actors have become inextricably linked to the summer movie.
And your choice summer movie star male is Chris Hemsworth!
Perhaps none more so than Will Smith, who scored his first summer smash with 1996's Independence Day.
Welcome to Earth.
Smith came to be known as Mr. July, reliably churning out summer hit
I make this look good.
after hit
Get off my car!
after hit.
My bad. Everybody all right?
His name all but guaranteeing a #1 box office opening for a long time. Smith makes a useful case study for what we respond to in summer movie stars.
Oh, hell no.
You are experiencing a car accident.
The hell I am!
He comes across as unshakably sure of himself, and there's seemingly no danger so strange it could break his swagger or cause him to second-guess himself.
Look at you! Ship all banged up! Who's the man?
His confidence makes us feel comfortable, whether he's piloting a spaceship or a cop car, battling robots, or performing superheroic feats.
What?
There's a similar assurance to Arnold Schwarzenegger, whose slightly cartoonish physicality allows him to be fully at home in the huge, outlandish worlds of summer movies, while a hint of self-awareness grounds him in our own.
Do you want to know the future? What about the past?
Whether he's a cyborg, an alien-hunting soldier, a super spy, or a supervillain, he is always recognizably Arnold.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is a happy medium between Smith and Schwarzenegger, a human special effect who combines an imposing presence with a winking sense of humor.
I got a plan. Might get us both killed, but if it works, it'll be a totally boss story. Cool?
And Tom Cruise keeps us coming back for more with his seemingly masochistic zeal for putting himself in authentically real danger.
What are you waiting for? I'm jumping out a window!
We root for these guys because as they run from burning skyscrapers and slug their way through death-defying set pieces, they make it look easy. And most importantly, they make it look fun.
Hey! We do what we do best! We improvise, all right?
While there isn't a Miss July, some women have managed to become summer movie stars, like when Julia Roberts rebounded from a career lull in the mid-90s with a series of successful romantic comedies.
Some people do spend their whole lives together.
Or when her My Best Friend's Wedding co-star Cameron Diaz followed up her introduction in The Mask with a series of broad comedy summer hits.
When I first started teaching, I thought that I was doing it for all the right reasons. Shorter hours, summers off, no accountability.
If women have only recently begun making inroads into traditional summer movie spectacle, they've long made a box office impact with a sort of counter-programming to the usual action-driven spectacle. Big splashy rom-coms and musicals, date movies, and comedies about women behaving badly.
Ooh, delicious stupid cookie. I think maybe it's better if I dip it in that chocolate.
In the last couple of decades, though, the biggest box office draw has undoubtedly been intellectual property. Today's blockbusters bank less on the appeal of a Brie Larson or Chris Pratt than they do the franchise strength of Marvel or Jurassic Park.
Think it'll scare the kids?
This will give the parents nightmares.
This emphasis on brand recognition speaks to what is arguably the most important aspect of a modern summer movie: familiarity.
Hi, I'm Captain America.
Do you know him too? Yeah, we met. I stole his shield.
These films, at their most elemental, tend to follow a similar formula. An extraordinary threat emerges, spurring ordinary people into extraordinary action. And while characters may sometimes suffer extraordinary losses along the way,
Does it start? I don't feel so good.
inevitably, everything works out.
Do you remember when we were in space? And I got all dusty?
In this, the summer movie delivers the same visceral thrills we get from a roller coaster, volleying us up and down along a carefully designed track that always returns us safely home.
Go to maximum more! Push it! I'm giving it all she's got, Captain!
Like the beach reads that first inspired them, summer movies give us permission to relax our standards, to check your brain at the door, not overthink it or worry about plot holes and discerning complex themes.
Yes! A twister in Los Angeles! It's one of many tornadoes that are destroying our city! There's another one!
This idea can be a polarizing one, reflecting a divide between some critics who see it as a catch-all defense of shoddy filmmaking, and audiences who just want to enjoy themselves.
I produced Bad Summer Movie, the parody of bad summer movies that was itself a bad summer movie.
Don't worry, we fixed everything with editing.
Even Jaws, now widely considered a classic of American cinema, was derided upon its release as a noisy, busy movie that has less on its mind than any child on a beach, and Shark Stew for the stupefied.
Smile, you son of a...
But while the directive to turn off your brain can sometimes be an excuse for poor movie making, or even an insult to the audience's intelligence, it can also be a valid way of meeting a movie on its own terms, enjoying the spectacle and the communal act of moviegoing, even if the movie itself isn't awards material.
Survive a war, you gotta become war.
The pure escapism of the summer movie offers the opportunity to stop worrying about the real world and lose ourselves in the air-conditioned dark, something that sounds perhaps more appealing than ever.
Was that over the top? I can never tell.
While a modern blockbuster today opens on 3,000 to 4,000 plus screens, 50 years ago, a wide release meant just a few hundred screens. Wider openings, especially summer ones, were also thought of as a dumping ground for films that the studios expected to perform badly. They were more about making a quick buck before anyone realized your movie was a bomb. But then came Jaws. Encouraged by the blockbuster numbers for The Godfather in 1972 and buoyed by an unprecedented TV marketing campaign,
none of man's fantasies of evil can compare with the reality of Jaws.
Universal Pictures debuted Jaws in over 400 theaters on June 20th, 1975. It was an immediate hit, eventually expanding to around 1,000 screens by the end of August and forever changing the course of pop culture.
It's basically Jaws, except when the guys in a boat are going after Jaws, they look around and there's an even bigger Jaws.
In many ways, Jaws doesn't much resemble the summer movies it would inspire. It's a movie that relies more on suspense than spectacle. Forced to work around an uncooperative mechanical shark, director Steven Spielberg builds most of its terror by keeping Jaws off-screen.
I think he's come back for his noon feeding.
For a summer movie, it's also unusually character-based and talky, dependent on long stretches of dialogue between Roy Scheider, Richard Dreyfuss, and Robert Shaw.
Fit right through my wetsuit. Well, nope, no, listen, I don't know about that, but I entered an arm wrestling contest in an Okie bar in San Francisco.
Actors who don't exactly fit our mold of modern summer movie stars.
You screw around with these tanks and they're gonna blow up.
Yeah, that's real fine, expensive gear you brought out here, Mr. Hooper.
But Jaws was an experience. The collective terror that audiences shared created the kind of can't-miss communal event that studios would seek to replicate for decades to come.
I don't think you appreciate the gut reaction people have to these things.
And because of Jaws, they would concentrate most of their efforts on the summer. Just 2 years later, Spielberg's friend George Lucas solidified the reign of the summer movie season when 20th Century Fox released Star Wars on May 25th, 1977 on just 32 screens. And only after forcing theater owners to book it if they wanted Fox's presumed big summer hit, the 2-hour, 45-minute period piece, The Other Side of Midnight.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
But Star Wars immediately shattered box office records. With re-releases in the years to come, Star Wars became an annual summer ritual, a shared part of the national consciousness.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
And while there were sequels before this point, Star Wars made them into an event with the 1980 release of The Empire Strikes Back.
I am your father.
Defining the modern franchise saga where fans could look forward to rejoining their favorite characters across new summer adventures.
Let's go, and don't forget the droids.
Ultimately, Jaws and Star Wars were most influential not as films, but as brands. Together, they helped to establish the summer dominance of the high concept, a catchy what-if premise that can be distilled into a marketing-friendly logline.
But while some have looked for clues to the mystery, one man has found the way to bring the mystery back to life.
Jaws also kicked off the reign of the happy ending. Characters surviving incredible odds, however unlikely, allowed them to return for sequels that enabled those franchises to live on indefinitely. Studios spent the 90s looking for the next Lucas and Spielberg, and high-concept summer blockbusters from James Cameron,
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Roland Emmerich,
That's what I call a close encounter.
and M. Night Shyamalan
I see dead people.
briefly suggested they might fit the bill. Beginning with 1996's The Rock,
Losers always whine about their best.
and lasting through the still-raging Transformers franchise, director Michael Bay became synonymous with a certain kind of summer movie that's arguably been just as influential. One characterized by fast cars, frenetic action, shameless sex appeal,
I was wondering if I could ride you home. Give you a ride home.
and liberally applied explosions. But today, it is the brand who is king. After Iron Man launched the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the summer of 2008, this kind of endlessly renewable multi-movie franchise soon became the aspiration for every major studio.
Shouldn't we have a league of our own?
Even though these franchises are often helmed by talented directors, ultimately their filmmakers must all defer to the brand, or else. A few individual filmmakers remain powerful enough to command their own summer spots.
Well, I've seen too much. Well, we'll try and keep up.
But today's typical summer movie schedule is a battle of the brands.
Don't worry.
She's got health.
When Disney revived the Star Wars franchise in 2015, it broke with tradition, debuting The Force Awakens on the weekend before Christmas.
We'll figure it out. We'll use the Force. That's not how the Force works.
Even 2018's Aquaman, a superhero at the beach movie that screams summer, debuted in December. Many of our biggest sci-fi movies like Dune and the Avatar sequel are being scheduled for the winter holidays, while comic book movies arrive as early as March or as late as October. Meanwhile, the summer has become a haven for indie sleepers, avant-garde horror, and heavyweight directors, the opposite of turn-off-your-brain cinema.
If not now, when? And if not you, who?
With studios now replicating the summer movie's success all year round, does the summer movie still mean what it once did?
Your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
To continue to thrive, the summer movie may need to be redefined. Like Memorial Day barbecues, the last day of school, or 4th of July fireworks, the summer movie gives our year a sense of order and predictability that, more than anything, we find comforting.
So what do you want to do tonight? Want to grab some pizza, hang out on the boat? Or I was thinking maybe we could go catch a bad summer movie at the $1.50 theater. What do you say?
This explains why summer movies often rely not only on established brands, but also on reviving older, even largely out-of-fashion genres. Disaster movies were mostly a relic of the 1970s, until 1996's Independence Day came along.
I picked a hell of a day to quit drinking.
Swashbuckling, high-seas adventures weren't exactly in vogue when the first Pirates of the Caribbean arrived in 2003.
It's heavy.
Jurassic Park revived the giant monster movie, once a staple of 1950s American cinema with a high-tech gloss.
Clever girl.
And time and again, the summer movie has brought the superhero back from the dead.
You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
While not all were hits, films like these have helped to keep important pieces of our cultural history alive. This feeling of nostalgia is increasingly key to the summer movie's survival, even to the survival of movie theaters. Despite the thousands of films available to stream from your couch, there's still a longing for the kind of old-fashioned, big-screen experience that classic summer movies provide, one that makes seeing those films feel more like a shared moment in our lives. It's notable that, as theaters began to reopen amid the pandemic, many of them attempted to remind us of why we love going to the movies in the first place, with screenings of retro summer favorites like Ghostbusters, The Goonies, and Back to the Future.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
June even saw Spielberg's Jurassic Park and Jaws, the granddaddy of summer movies itself, battling for the #1 box office spot. We've also seen a resurgence of drive-in theaters.
Stranded at the drive-in.
A once bygone summer tradition that's been revived by film fans who still believe moviegoing should be a communal event shared with others, even if socially distanced. Like the outdoor screenings that have long popped up in cities around the country.
This is the best part.
This renewed interest in drive-ins speaks to our continued reverence for movies as a summer pastime, and it suggests one potential way forward for the summer movie, one more closely entwined with the specific atmosphere and feeling of those hotter months.
I don't know, John. One of those beach movies, you know, they put out a whole bunch of them.
Summer movies are, at their core, about the joy of film.
Welcome to the party, pal!
Our relationship with the summer movie embodies our relationship with the entire movie-going experience, just a little bit bigger.
It's gonna be one of the best summers we've ever had.
If you're new here, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified about all of our new videos. This video is brought to you by Mubi, a streaming service we love. Every day, Mubi premieres a new film, whether it's a movie you've been dying to see or one you've never heard of before. There is always something new to discover. So in this world where it's very easy to spend hours debating what you should watch, Mubi is like having a really cool friend with amazing taste in movies, making it so much easier for you. They feature hard-to-come-by masterpieces, indie festival darlings, influential art house and foreign films, lesser-known films by your favorite famous directors, and more. Plus, you can even download the films to watch offline, and there are no ads, ever. This month, Mubi is presenting the exclusive online premiere of Family Romance LLC, the latest feature from Werner Herzog. The legendary filmmaker travels to Japan to cover a Tokyo-based company that offers stand-in family members, friends, or admirers for hire. Beguiling and utterly unique, the film invites us to question the lies we tell ourselves and the different roles we are all forced to play. We can't recommend Mubi highly enough. You can try it out now for free for a whole month. Just click the link in the description below.